Hello, good morning, everyone. We're doing some technology issues, trying to learn more about how Zoom works. And then when Zoom is pushing this, so to say, over to Facebook. Me, after using Zoom for close to a year now, not quite, but close to a year now, still figuring out things. So one thing is that the flexibility of Zoom, which might also be the confusing thing about Zoom, is that if you are on Zoom, you have control over what you see. Yeah? So not the host. So if you look at your whether you're using a computer, you're using a tablet, or using a phone, somewhere in the top right corner, there is this little icon that says View. Yeah. So when you go there, you can see Speaker View and Gallery View. So if you go ahead and put one or the other, what happens then, if you put Speaker View, then you will only see whoever is speaking. If you put Gallery View, then however number of will turn up on the gallery also depends on your computer. In some computers, you can have as many as 49 people that you'll see. Well, granted that there are 49 other people involved. Then more typically is 25. Then if you're using tablet and phone, it's even fewer. But basically on Zoom, what you see on your end is up to whether you put it on speaker view or if you put it on gallery view. Yeah. But what people see on Facebook depends on what the host has set on the host view, we think. So right now, Jasper, what view have you set it to? You're the host now. Jasper?
Yes, it's in the gallery view now.
Gallery view, okay. Good, so Facebook is also showing gallery. Now change the speaker view and see what happens.
Yeah, now it's in speaker view. You will have a few seconds of lapse in between.
I know. Right. Let's see. Okay, now it's, so the host controls how it is pushed over to Facebook. So now we know that. Then, of course, during the shared screen part, then again, there you can adjust even whether, but mostly it will be, your screen will be, mostly you'll see is what has been shared. Then on the sidebar, you might be able to, even on the sidebar and on the gallery view, you should be able to kind of move certain videos around so that you prioritize, you know, on the top or in the middle or wherever you want particular person's video. Yeah, so in that sense, right, it offers a lot of flexibility, but a lot of flexibility also tend to translate to, at least for me, a lot more confusion. But just FYI, things that we're learning. So again, good morning, good evening. This is the third day of the new year, according to the lunar calendar. This year, the calendar used in East Asia, so Korea, Japan, Taiwan, China, Hong Kong, Vietnam. This year, the calendar used in East Asia coincides with the calendar used in North Asia, meaning, or majority of North Asia, meaning like Mongolia, Tibet, and areas that follow mostly Tibetan culture. This year, these two are coinciding. So New Year is starting at the same time. So as we mentioned a couple of times already, for Buddhist practitioners, not so much the cultural aspect of the New Year that we are necessarily celebrating, although we can celebrate with our friends who do celebrate this cultural New Year. For Buddhist practitioners, more important is to remember what's known as Chotru Duchen. Chotru Duchen is the display of the Great Miracles Festival. The Duchen itself, the Great Festival itself, is on the first full moon of the New Year. But on the days leading up to that first full moon, every day, we remember the Buddha for having performed a particular miraculous act to kind of demonstrate his power over the perception of beings, power over phenomena. As I emphasized yesterday, when we talk about Buddha's power over phenomena, it is easy to misunderstand and think that this is like, moving mountains, bringing the mountains and throw it into the ocean and turning the ocean into mountains, we tend to gravitate to that kind of power. But that kind of power, in many ways, right? On the one hand, secular culture with science and technology have been able to do many of those feats. I mean, imagine, right? I mean, we take for granted, but when you get in a plane, well, these days, hardly anyone, but when you do get in the plane, and if you remember getting in a plane, how many tons is this thing, right? And it somehow is floating in the air for 10, 15 hours, even sometimes, I mean, that's like power over phenomena. Yeah. Then in other religious traditions, they also talk about how they are great heroes, they are great beings, have power over phenomena. Now, I don't say this to like downplay and say, oh, they also said. But the crucial point is that insofar as having these kinds of power, it does not distinguish the Buddha. It does not explain why we are taking refuge in Buddha. We take refuge in Buddha, ultimately, it's not because he can move mountains and throw into the oceans, solidify the water of the ocean and make it into mountains. Not because of that. Because that is, we could say that is a shared ability and quality that Buddhas and non-Buddhas can also have. Yeah, all these great scientists and technologists, Buddhas and non-Buddhas share equally this ability. The real meaning when we say Buddha displays miracles, those miracles are the result of Buddha's realizing the emptiness of inherent existence on the one side, and then the way that everything dependently arises with causes and conditions brought together. So in fact, when we say Buddhas perform miracles, it's not that Buddhas are violating natural principles. Any more than we are saying, technology is violating natural principles, right? Yeah, technology is not violating any natural phenomena and principles. Technology is when people's minds are so developed in that particular area on how to bring together the right causes and conditions for, say, a microwave to work, a microwave oven to work. Yeah. A microwave oven is not working because it's some sort of, going against nature. No, it's figuring out how nature works on a deeper level, which is what Buddhas understand. But more important than the Buddha's ability to seemingly, right, play with physical phenomena is the Buddha's realization of the nature of phenomena. For that reason, primarily, we take refuge in Buddhas. That is what we need to be able to follow, embody, and actualize. So these 2 weeks, these 15 days of miracles, they are to remind us, they are to inspire us, they are to push us into committing to waking up in the way that Buddhists are woken up. And to wake up, we absolutely need bodhicitta. Without bodhicitta, there are no Buddhas. bodhicittas, or without bodhicitta, there are no Buddhas. Bodhicitta is what makes a sentient being transform into a bodhisattva. Without bodhisattvas, there are no Buddhas. Bodhisattvas are Buddha to be. Yeah? So bodhisattvas, without bodhisattvas, there are no Buddhas. Without bodhicitta, there are no bodhisattvas. Without sentient beings, there are no bodhicitta. For two reasons. One, it's sentient beings that develop bodhicitta, and sentient beings can only develop bodhicitta when there are other sentient beings to either inspire or to annoy us. Yeah? Without sentient beings annoying us, we also won't be able to have bodhicitta. So a balance, hopefully in your life, is a balance between sentient beings that inspire you to develop bodhicitta, as well as sentient beings that annoy you to give rise to bodhicitta. So we need all these conditions coming together. When sentient beings are annoying us, it's really, really hard to have bodhicitta for them. But we have entered the gate of Dharma. And so we have to look at things differently. We cannot let media, social media, whatever, tell us how to look at things. We have to, that's the meaning of taking refuge in the three jewels. After taking refuge in the three jewels, another way of putting it is, we have new bosses. So then we'll listen to our new bosses. They tell us, this is how you should look at things. This is how you should consider things. This is how you should react to things. And the thing about these new bosses is they never force. And sometimes we wish they would force us, because we're lazy. And we're stubborn. So sometimes we wish, oh man, the boss, I wish they would force us. But the three jewels don't work that way, Sometimes they say the human guru works that way. But even a lot of human gurus, would rather not have to play that role. Because at the end, it is really, primarily up to us. Others can help. Others can persuade us. Sometimes others, very skillfully might threaten us. But mostly, whether we're going to listen or not, it's up to us to listen. This morning, I have a short exchange with a friend about helping him with some things, I jokingly I said, and then the friend said, well, I hope I'm not adding more to your plate, Then I said, well, it's okay. Just try not to make me throw up blood, It's a kind of a Malaysian phrase, we say, throw up blood. And so the friend said, well, that I cannot promise, Then my response is like, well, that is true. Ultimately, you cannot promise, because in the end, the decision to throw up blood or not is mine. Then, sometimes we forget. We just say, you are making me throw up blood, or you are making me, have a migraine. You are making me upset, But in the end, like we choose, At best, others throw the hook with the bait, We are the ones that bite. We are the ones who see the wriggly worm, and despite the number of times we know that the wriggly worm is actually has a hook with it, despite that, we still go after the wriggling worm, and then we get hooked. Then when we get hooked, we say, hey, it's you. You with the evil hook that is causing this, but it's not. It's us. So let's go to page 4. Let's go to page 4. We will begin on page 4. Once again, let's go the other direction with the list of volunteers. Javier, can you please read, starting on the top of page 4, one time? If you're reading, we cannot hear you. Oh, power to unmute. Hold on.
There you go. I think it's working now.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So page 4, right?
Yes.
Okay. In the space before me, I envision the Buddha, the Lord of Sages, surrounded by unfathomable root and lineage gurus, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. I and all mother sentient beings, extensive as space, take refuge in the root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the perfect Buddhas, the transcendent conquerors. We take refuge in the holy Dharma, free from attachment and peaceful nirvana. We take refuge in the noble assembly of bodhisattvas endowed with realization and liberation.
And then now you can, all of you, join me in the chanting, of course, in your own spaces. Dunge namga domba dobe wambo la gore sajuge lama dang sanje jangsen badu mebe kone shu bar zom. Da dan rowa magyo namke da dan nyambe semjen tamje zawa da gyobe lama namla gyabsu jiyo zobe sanje jumdende namla gyabsu jiyo Shiva chadra dampe jo namla gyabzu jo ridru niden gyase pape so namla gyabzu jibo dadan roba magyo namke tadan nyampe senchen damje zawa dan gyube lama namla gyabzu jiyo zobe sanje chum dende namla gyabzu jiyo Shiva chadra dampe jo namla gyabzu jiyo ridru niden gyase pape so namla gyabzu jibo dada mung roba magyo namke dada nyampe senchen tamje zawadang gyube lama namla gyabzu jyo zope sanje jom dende namla gyabzu jyo shiva chaja dampe jo namla gyabzu jyo ridro niden gyase pape so namla gyabzu jyo next, Maria Cristina, can you please read page 5 to the middle of the page where it says, may they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
May all sentient beings who have not realized that the self and all appearances are by nature dharmadhatu have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness which is free from suffering. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
Dada nawa tamje jogi yingi rangshin yin pala de dharma tobe semchen tamje de wadang dewen gyundan dampara gyurji dunya dan dunya ge gyudan trava gyurji dunya mepe de wadang me trava gyurji Nirin chada nidan trave tanyang la nebra gyurji dada nawa tamje jogi yingi rangshin yin pala de dharma Tobe semchen tamche dewa dang dewe gyudan dambara gyurji dungyao dang dungyao gi gyudan dewa gyurji dungyao mepe dewa dame dewa gyurji nering chadang ni dang dewe dangyang la dambara gyurji dadang nongwa tamche chuki yingi ranshin yinpa la Deta ma tope semchen tamche dewa dang dewe gyudan dambara gyurji dungyao dang dungyao gi gyudan dewa gyurji dungyao mepe dewa dame dewa gyurji nering chadang ni dang dewe dangyang la dambara gyurji. I want to call your attention to how in this particular version of the four immeasurables, of course, the basic four immeasurables is the same. The first one is to have happiness and the causes of happiness, that is generating metta, loving kindness. To be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, that is generating karuna, compassion. Then to not be separated from the happiness that is free from suffering, that is generating joy, mudita. Then the final one, rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion, that is upeksha, that is equanimity, even mind. Then these four states of mind are to be produced, are to be generated in relation to mother sentient beings, boundless as space, limitless, filling entirety of space. But here, the words are slightly different. It says, may all mother sentient beings, or may all sentient beings, who have not realized that a self and all appearances are by nature dharmadhatu. So often, the emphasis is on how to view sentient beings. We have to view sentient beings, all sentient beings, as having been our mothers at one point or another in the past. Here the emphasis is more on so the usual calling mother sentient beings is emphasizing more on the, you could say, relative side of things. Here is emphasizing more the absolute side of things, which is on the absolute level. Sentient beings are sentient beings because we have not realized that what we habitually consider to be self, I, me, and what we habitually consider to be mine, which is what all appearances are, right? My sight, my sound, my smell, my taste, my touch, my thoughts, right? These are all appearances, but these are what we habitually think is mine. Yeah. So what we consider to be me, to be I, and what we consider to be mine are by nature the dharmadhatu. And what is the nature of dharmadhatu? The nature of dharmadhatu is boundless, unlimited, lacking self, neither coming nor going. And this is the ultimate nature of all phenomena. And when we do not see this nature, then we get stuck. We get stuck in our little corner of emptiness. Very tightly, very oppressively. We get stuck when we don't see the vastness of this single nature. Yeah, so this is a little special, these four immeasurables here. Fabiola, can you please read from the bottom of page 5 to the top of page 6?
May I swiftly attain the sublime state of perfectly complete awakening for the sake of all mother sentient beings. For this purpose, I shall make offerings to the 35 Buddhas, and having invoked their heart pledge, I shall engage in the practice of confessing downfalls.
마sem젠 탐제기 둔둔 혈화 양다파라 소베 산제기 곰팡 림보제 돈바라제 대제두 대와 셰바 숨주 상하 주징 툭담고네 통화 샤페 조가라 주파라자 Now think that the objects of refuge in front, they all dissolve into yourself, dissolve into you. Feel their blessings coming to us, their protection, their guidance. Gyabyu-nam rang-la timbare-gyuru. Then we do the blessing of the offerings, and in particular the offerings that we visualize, which is these 35 seats, 35 special places, seats, comfortable seats with canopies, and so described in very traditional terms, you know. For you, you know, you can think, you know, you're preparing 35 very comfortable seats, you know, for the 35 Buddhas to arrive and to grace us with their presence. Yeah. Maurice, if you can read page 6, 7, and to the top of page 8. Until Jambu Gold on the top of page 8. And then if Kimberly can read from there on, starting with swaying pearl tassels to the top of page 9, where it says aromatic powders. So Maurice first.
By the truth of the three jewels, by the blessings of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, by the great power of the fully completed two accumulations, and by the force of the inconceivable and utterly pure nature of Dharmadhatu, all faults and defects of the entire ground of this abode, such as chunks of dirt and stone, gravel, unevenness, crookedness are dispelled. Even like a palm, it is extensive and vast, and is carpeted with the fine sand of various jewels, filled with flowers, medicine, bathing pools, wish-fulfilling jewel trees, streams of scented water, the reverberating sound of Dharma, and so forth. It is utterly pure, like the Buddha field of Sukhavati. Above this in space, surrounded by strings of clouds of 5-colored light, is a jeweled throne, each of its 4 sides supported by a pair of great lions. It is spacious, lofty, and covered with divine silken stars. Above this is a seat of a variegated lotus and a full moon disc stacked one on top of the other. Upon this is a white silken parasol with a jewel-topped ornament and 1,000 spokes made of Jambu gold.
Kimberly, if you are there.
Swaying pearl tassels dangle from its silken hem, thus arranged and lovely to behold. It is magnificent. May 35 such parasols and myriad seats of lotus and moon instantly appear.
Continue on to the top of page 9.
On the ground before this are flowers of different colors strewn in a carpet. Above this are any offerings that have been actually arranged as a meditation support. May inconceivable offering clouds like those produced from the magical display of the Bodhisattva Samantabhadra appear, such as water endowed with the 8 qualities, water for bathing the feet, divine flowers such as the Mandarava flower, prepared and natural incense, jewels, lamps burning seed oils, medicinal scented water that heals pain, ambrosial food from the god realm of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, wind instruments, percussion instruments, victory banners made of soft and smooth saffron-dyed cloth, hanging banners and canopies, and vessels of aromatic powders.
Namo Ranatraya Namo Bhagavate Vajrasara Paramadane Tadhagataya Arahate Samya Sambuddhaya Bhajre Bhajre Mahabhajre Mahatejo Bhajre Mahavidya Bhajre Mahabodhicitta Bhajre Mahabodhi Mandopasankramana Bhajre Sarva Karma Avarana Vishodhana Bhajre Soha Namo Ranatraya Namo Bhagavate Vajrasara Paramadane Tathagataya Arahate Samya Sambuddhaya Teata Bhajre Bhajre Mahabhajre Mahatejo Bhajre Mahavidya Bhajre Mahabodhicitta Bhajre Mahabodhi Mandopasankramana Bhajre Sarva Karma Avarana Vishodhana Bhajre Soha Namo Ranatraya Namo Bhagavate Vajrasara Paramadane Tathagataya Ara Samya Sambuddhaya Deada Bhajre Bhajre Mahabhajre Mahatejo Bhajre Mahavidya Bhajre Mahabodhicitta Bhajre Mahabodhi Mandopasankramana Bhajre Sarva Karma Avarana Vishodhana Bhajre Soha. So here in the notes, it says, and now with fragrant incense and with flowers, we will, in hand, we invite the Buddhists to come into our presence, to be present in front of us, in our space. So in tradition, you will see an attendant monk or whoever in the assembly assigned with that job in Tibetan practice, holding incense, and then like the kata. Kata represents flowers, and then they will do this and walk around the assembly hall. This is a way of like welcoming with incense and flowers. In the Chinese Buddhist tradition, this is when they hold up flowers and incense. And the words, like in Chinese, for those of you in Asia who know, is the xiang hua yin, xiang hua qing. Xiang and hua, yin and qing. To welcome, to invite. So this is what we should be thinking now. So if Alexander, if you can start from the bottom of page 9 up to that part on page 10 where it says, please come and cause our store of merit to increase.
Compassionate, transcendent conquerors dwelling in the 10 directions, please heed me. In the past, When you, the 35 compassionate transcendent conquerors, engaged in bodhisattva deeds, you aroused bodhicitta and vowed to cleanse the obscurations of wandering beings in times when the 5 degenerations are rampant. Following this pledge, in order to protect us helpless wandering beings, today we invite you to safeguard and stand by us as our last resort. Having come, regard us with eyes of compassion and purify our faults and downfalls. Please come and cause our store of merit to increase.
Now back to page 9. Jujuna zube chumdende tuje jembo dan demba namda la gong su so chumdende tuje jembo da demba sumju sanga boyge nam ngon changju zembe jeba jobeze ningma ranga do drowa namgi reba jongwa tuge jin tukdam jitar shewa she Deshin de den da ja gomegi rowa gyobele du gongkya dam punyen nu jen 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 china tu jen jingi jing ne da cha gi ni tong jong shin so nam gi so pe we le du jom par ni jin Anna Elisa, if you can start on the bottom of page 10 and go to the middle of page 11 at the ending with victorious lion, please come here. If you can end here, Anna Elisa. And then Miriam, if you can continue from there, starting with your discipline reminds of a pure water stream. Just go to the end of page 11. Ocean of good qualities, please come here. If you can read until there. That is for Miriam. Then Rodrigo, if you can start page 12 at the top to the middle of that page, which is Capable Mountain. Please come here.
Mahamuni, in this place and time, please come here, exalted one. Holy One, please come here. Omniscient One, please come here. Mahamuni, for the sake of others, chief of humans, please come here. Omniscient One among humans, please come here. Born in the lotus pond of moral discipline and suffused with the water of perseverance, your disciples gather around you like bees. Lotus sage, please come here.
Dealing in the noble truths endowed with the eyes of love and compassion, you roar the sound of slaveliness. Victorious Leon, please come here.
Continue.
Your discipline reminds of a pure water stream, cause the buds on the branch of a waiting to bloom into garlands of flowers and to develop into the perfect fruit of total liberation. Victorious tree, please come here. And down with wisdom, vast and profound and wide, the unlimited water of Samadhi, you are a treasury filled with adjoined gems. Ocean of good qualities, please come here.
Thank you. And now Rodrigo.
Endowed with a glorious mandala of compassion and perfectly adorned with the light rays of wisdom, you open the lotus mind of disciples. Capable sound, please come here. invincible to adversaries, the deeds performed in the example of your perfect life were of hell healer and his following. You won the trust of the deer-like returners and non-returners. Capable Mountain, please come here.
Thank you. Now we go back to page 10 at the bottom there. Page 10, bottom of page 10. Tuba chenpo de la kebu sobo shesu so kebu damba shesu so kebu che ke shesu so tuba chenpo shen dorje kangni sobo shesu so kangni jesen shesu so su chen pe me zinu ye chon chon du jabgi nampar be lo ma bungwa dra jin pa tuba be ma shesu so pa be den para ne che de 잠당 두제 쟁아 신 담에 바이라 조바 겨와 생계 셰수서 춘리 장와 주와된 장주 인람에 도게 남도 제부 본순서 겨와 동보 셰수서 셰람 겹제 사바보 된신 잠니 전된신 여조 바이 노르부타 용된갸조 셰수서 도제 겨고 별된바 셰랍 오젤렉 바르겐 로마 베마 가제바 투바니마 셰수 소레 베기 고웨 미교지 남탈레소 멘소젠 로다미 로리다탐 투바리 오셰수 소 So turn to page 17. So on page 17, let's see. Mariana, can you please read what is on page 17, starting from Blessed Lord, how marvelous that you have come.
Blessed Lord, how marvelous that you have come. We are indeed endowed with merit and good fortune. Blessed Lord, please remain while I make offerings to you. In this mandala of pure Dharma teachings and sacred state of which splendor is arranged, resting in a meditative state of unmoving samadhi, please be seated with a joyful mind.
Jum den der ni jum pale daja gyapar den jise joba dagina dese jum den shu su jodon dabe gyugurde pajen dabe den shamde tingse miya nyam shabe gyabara gongde ne de na shu. Laura Herman, can you read page 18?
Unobstructed, unrestricted form, and a mode of equanimity, please be seated on this clean and spacious throne and accept this gift of happiness. Sitting on this jeweled throne, held aloft by lions and covered with celestial silken scarves with joy and loving disposition, please perform the great purpose of all wandering beings. In the center of a flawless, lovely lotus seat, with open petals and a pollen bed in a moon mandala for the benefit of all. We beseech you to remain upon this seat with love for wandering beings. Thus supplicated, the Sudatas with the retinues remain upon the lotus and moon disk seats of properly arranged lion thrones in the space before me.
Chandan Dentri Yampala Todando Pa Mepegu Nyamni Sugi Drishula Dewajo Wa Shesuso Donye Tebar Nobuti Lase Goki Kyabda De Geshin Sewe Nyangsungi Sula Drowa Donchenzo Didra Iwon Pemede Dabbe Geser Jebe Ukumpen Dawe Gyugurten Trola Sewe Shuksuzo Shizo Tambe Dewa Sheba Korgi Tsodan Jeba Namdungi Namkar Tsadu Ngarwe Senge Tridam Pema Dan Dawe Den La Shupani. So then, this is all the Buddhas, especially the 35 Buddhas. They all have arrived and seated in the seats that we have prepared. Then now go to page 22. At the bottom of 22, now it's a description, a brief description of the qualities of their body, speech, and mind. All are dressed in the style of a renunciate Nirmanakaya and are adorned with the 32 excellent marks and the 80 minor marks, such as the crown, protuberance, and wheels on the feet. With their 60 aspects of melodious speech, they proclaim the clear sound of the Mahayana teachings. As their minds do not move from Vajra like Samadhi, they clearly understand all objects of knowledge in the 3 times. Their bodies are garbed in the 3 Dharma robes, and garlands of light shine like the sun from their bodies to alleviate the pain of miserable destinies. With eyes open wide like lotus petals, they behold me and all sentient beings with great compassion. Upon merely beholding them, upon merely seeing them, these great beings effortlessly accomplish the temporary and ultimate purposes of all sentient beings. Thus, they abide with legs in Vajra posture. As I raise beautiful jewel parasols with golden handles, delightfully adorn all around, with pleasing forms so lovely to behold, we make unceasing offerings to the lords of sages. So this is the part where the offerings are made to all the 35 Buddhas. And the 35 Buddhas are described in the sections, in this next section, together with what they purify. So please turn to page 36. Middle of 36, starting with to those in as many worlds as exist in the 10 directions. Yeah, there. Larry, can you read that until 37, right before the mantra?
Yes. To those in as many worlds as exist in the 10 directions, all of the lines among humans, the Tathagatas of the 3 times, to all of them without exception, I prostrate straight with faithful body, speech, and mind. Through the power of this prayer for excellent conduct, may all the victorious ones vividly appear in my mind. With bodies as numerous as atoms in the universe, I respectfully bow down and pay homage to all the victorious ones. In a single atom, residing amidst their bodhisattva sons, there are as many Buddhas as there are atoms in the entire world. In the same way, I imagine the entire Dhamma expanse to be completely filled with victorious ones. With inexhaustible oceans of praise and oceans of melodious sounds extolling the noble qualities of the victorious ones, I praise all the Sugatas. To all those worthy of honor, while offering praise with supreme faith, I bow unceasingly with bodies as numerous as dust motes in the universe.
Thank you. Engineer Suda Juju Jidena Duzun Sheba Mi Zenge Gun Dagi Malu Deda Tamjela Ludang Ye Dangwe Chagi Wo Sampo Jobe Molam Tomdagi Gyawa Tamje Yiki Ngunsumdu Shingi Dune Lurab Tuba Ye Gyawa Guna Rabdu Cha Selo Tuji Dena Dunye Sanje Nam Sanje Seki Una Shubada Deda Juge Ina Malu Ba Tamje Gyawa Dagi Gangwa Mo Deda Ngaba Mitse Gyazo Nam Yangi Yen La Gyazo Dragungi Gyawa Kunji Yongden Rabzo Jin Dewa Sheba Tamje Dagi To Chagja Oba Tamje La Shindu Kungi Dongnegi Ludu Bayi Nam Kuntu Chokdu Debe Tobarji. This last verse here is not part of the usual sevenfold puja from the King of Noble Aspiration Prayers of Samantabhadra. But the verses before this is from there. So now, after paying homage, we then make offerings, the second of the 7. The offerings sections from the Samantabhadra's Aspiration Prayer starts on page 38. On page 38, Melissa, if you can read page 38 until the top of, let's see, no, just page 38, yeah.
With the best of flowers and exquisite garlands, music, ointments, supreme parasols, divine lights, and the finest incense, I make offerings to the victorious ones. With the finest garments, sweet fragrances, and powdered incense piled high as Mount Meru, and with everything in exalted and sublime display, I make offerings to the victorious and unsurpassed offerings made to all of the victorious ones. Through the power of my faith in excellent conduct, I prostrate and offer to all of the victorious ones.
Meto Dampa Tengwa Dampa Dang Sinye Namdang Chumpa Dukcho Dam Harme Chodang Dupo Dampa Ye Kyawa Deda Lani Chopargi Nasa Dampa Namdang Richo Dan Chema Purma Rira Nyampa Da Kobe Kerpa Pape Chogun Ye Kyawa Deda Layang Chopargi Chopa Gana Lame Gyajewa Deda Gyawa Tamche Layang Mo Sampo Chola Debe Topdagi Kyawa Kunla Chaksel Chopar. Yeah. Then the next number of pages is all the different offerings in the long practice, all the different offerings that are given. Page 48 now, right? Continuing again from Samantabhadra's Aspiration Prayers. On page 48, Waiting, can you read starting from I confess whatever wrong to the end of page 48?
I confess whatever wrong I've done with my body, speech, and also mind while being overpowered by attachment, hatred, and ignorance. I rejoice in the merits of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, the solitary Buddhas, those on the path of learning, those beyond learning, and all beings.
Docha shedan timu wangini ludang adan deshin yeki gyan tingpa dagi giba jeje bar deda tamje dagi sosor sha joju gyawa kundang sanje ser angya namdang lodang miloda dowa kunji sonam gangla yan deda kunji jesu da yirang. Then on page 49, Judy, if you can actually read this whole page on page 49.
All of those lights in the worlds of the 10 directions who, having passed through the stages of Buddhahood, attained awakening free from attachment, to all those protectors, I beseech you to turn the unsurpassed wheel of Dharma. to all those who intend to demonstrate nirvana. With my palms together, joined together, I beseech you to remain for the benefit and happiness of all beings, for as many kalpas as there are atoms in the universe. Whatever slight virtue I may have gathered from prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and beseeching, I dedicate it to the awakening of all beings.
Ganan juju jiden droma da chanju rinpa sanje macha ne kumpo de da dagi tamje la kolo la na me ba korwa go nyangyen da tong ganshe de da la drowa kun la penshin de wenji kya ba shingi dune sopa ya dagi tamo rabja so wargi chasa wadan chujing shaba dan jise yirang kuzing so waye Gewa chungse dagi chisaba tamje sobe chanju jungu. And then page 50. In accordance with the 35 Sugatas aspiration to exhaust the karmic veils of those who remember their excellent names and pay homage to them, please bestow the fruits of this wish. Yeah, so yesterday I talked about briefly how we should understand what it means to remember their excellent names and pay homage to them, and how in just doing that it is said that our karmic veils can be removed. Then now start of the actual 35 Buddhist confession practice, the one that everyone in all different lineages of Tibetan Buddhism, they do this in the short form. And this is the one that if we can, do every day to purify especially lapses in our bodhisattva vow commitments. Let's see. So I'm going to start first to the top of page 51. Then, like we have done in the previous days, section by section, like usually about four names each. I will call on the names of the different people. And then you can read that section. Then, of course, everybody else follow in the reading, okay? Starting on page 50. Throughout all time, all sentient beings take refuge in the Guru, take refuge in the Buddha, take refuge in the Dharma, and take refuge in the Sangha. Homage to the Bhagavan Tathagata Arhat, the perfectly complete Buddha Shakyamuni. Next section, Rowan. If you're reading, we can't hear you.
Homage to the one who is fully conquered with Vajra essence. Homage to jewel radiating light. Homage to the sovereign king of Nagas. Homage to the leader of the brave.
Joyce.
Homage to glorious joy. Homage to jewel fire. Homage to jewel moonlight. Homage to meaningful to behold.
Christina. If you're reading, we cannot hear you, Christina. You have to unmute. Yes, now you're unmuted. Oh, you're muted again. You have to unmute, Christina. Now you're unmuted.
Yes, but I don't know what page you're on now.
Page 51.
Okay. And which one?
Homage to Jewel Moon towards the bottom.
Okay. Okay. Homage to the jewel moon, homage to the stainless one, homage to the glorious of giving, homage to the pure one.
Okay.
No more?
That's it. Daniela, top of 52.
Homage to giving of purity, homage to the water god, homage to the god of water gods, homage to good glory.
Vicky?
Homage to glorious sandalwood, homage to infinite brilliance, homage to glorious light, homage to glory without sorrow.
Ana Isabel?
Homage to the son of none, craving homage to the glory of flowers.
Samantha?
Homage to the Tathagata radiant pure display of complete omniscience.
Tracy?
Homage to the widely renowned, glorious name. Homage to the King, victory or banner that crowns the sovereign.
Tracy, you're actually homage to the Tathagata.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Homage to the Tathagata, completely omniscient display of lotus light. Homage to glory of wealth. Homage to glory of mindfulness.
Adriana?
Homage to widely renowned glorious name. Homage to the King victory banner that crowns the sovereign.
Leonard? Top of 53.
Homage to the glorious one who fully subdues. Homage to sublime victor in battle.
Elena?
Homage to the one gone beyond truth, complete victory. Homage to the glorious illuminating array. Homage to all subli, lotus joy.
Jasper?
Homage to the king of Mount Meru, the Tathagata Arhat, perfectly complete Buddha, abiding on the jewel lotus.
Continue to the end of the page. Jasper?
All these and all the Tathagatas, all the Arhats, however, many perfectly complete Buddhas abide in all the worlds of the 10 directions, and all the Buddhas, the transcendent or conquerors who prevail in this world, please hit me.
Cecile, can you read page 54? Lead us in that reading.
In this and former lives without beginning, in all the states of birth, within samsara, I have committed evil deeds. I have instigated others and found joy in their crimes. I have stolen the wealth of stupas, the Sangha community, and the Sangha of the 10 directions. I have incited others to steal and found joy in this theft. I have committed the 5 immediate sins and have incited others to commit them and have found joy in their downfalls. I have fully entered the path of engaging in the 10 unwholesome deeds, have incited others to enter it, and have found joy in their submission.
Thank you. Page 55. Claudia, can you read that page?
Obscured by all these karmic veils, I and sentient beings have gone to hell, have gone to the birthplaces of animals, have gone to the worlds of hungry ghosts, have taken birth in savage places as barbarians, as long-lived gods, and as humans with impaired sense faculties. I have turned to corrupted views and karmic obscurations from having failed to please the Buddhas I encounter. In the presence of the vagabond Buddha, wisdom mind, before their eyes, in their witness, before the authentic ones, the all-knowing one, the all-seeing ones, I disclose all these karmic obscurations, I declare them, I shall not hide them, and hereafter I shall sever and bind them.
Omar, page 56, please.
All Buddhas, transcendent conquerors, please heed me. I gather all the roots of each virtue I have accumulated in cyclic existence through having acted generously towards another samsaric sentient beings, even only offering a mouthful of food of those born in the animal realm. Together with any root of virtue from having guarded moral discipline, any root virtue from having practiced pure conduct, any root of virtue from having true sentient beings to full maturity, any root of virtue from having given rise to bodhicitta, the mindset on supreme awakening.
Thank you. Lucrezia, page 57.
And any root of virtue from unsurpassed primordial awareness, accumulated in these and former lives, without beginning within samsara. All these I dedicate them perfectly, supremely, most supremely, and sublimely towards unsurpassed, perfectly complete awakening. Just as the previous Bhagavan Buddhas perfectly performed dedication, and just as the Bhagavan Buddhas who are not yet appeared were perfectly performed dedication, and just as the present Bhagavan Buddhas perfectly perform dedication, likewise I shall perform perfect dedication. I confess each and every wrongdoing and rejoice in all merit.
Randy, top of page 58 to the end of that section.
I exhort and supplicate all Buddhas that I may attain unsurpassed, most excellent primordial wisdom. With my palms joined together, I wholeheartedly take refuge in all those with praiseworthy qualities, as infinite as a vast ocean, all the Buddhas, supreme among humans, who exist at present, those who have passed into nirvana, and those who have not yet appeared.
Okay, so we have completed the main recitation practice. Now go back to page 50. And we're going to do this one more time. The way we're going to do this is I am first going to chant the first section, the paying homage section. I'm going to chant in the Tibetan, and you can follow that. Then in the next two sections, I will do in English. Yeah? Semjen tamje tangpa lama la kyabsu jiwo sanje la kyabsu jiwo chola kyabsu jiwo genden la kyabsu jiwo chumdende Deshin sheba drajumpa yandam parasobe sanje shakya tupa la chaselo Duje ningpo rabdu jumpa la chaselo rinjen odro la chaselo Lu wangi gyabo la chaselo pawo de la chaselo Pelge la chaselo rinjen me la chaselo Rinjen dao chaselo tongwa donyo la chaselo Rinjen dawa la chaselo rima me la me pa la chaselo Pajin la chaselo chamba la chaselo chambe jin la chaselo Chula la chaselo chula la chaselo piaozang la chaselo Tsenden pe la chaselo ziji taye la chaselo opel la chaselo nyangye me pe la chaselo zeme ke bo la chaselo meto pe la chaselo Deshin sheba zambe ozer namba roba ngumpra gemba la chaselo Deshin sheba beme ozer namba roba ngumpra gemba la chaselo no pe la chaselo tempe pe la chaselo Sempe shindu yong ra la chaselo wampo togi gyao sengi gyao po la chaselo Shindu nambara numbe pela chaselo yule shindu nambara gyawa la chaselo nambara numbe shebe pela chaselo kune nangma gobe pela chaselo rinjen pema nambara numba la chaselo deshin sheba rajumba yanda parazope sanje rinpoche pema la rabdu subari wangi gyapo la chaselo All these and all the Tathagatas, all the Arhats, however many perfectly complete Buddhas abide in all the worlds of the 10 directions and all the Buddhas, the transcendent conquerors who prevail in this world. Please heed us. Now we're at the bottom of 53, then top of 54. In this and former lives without beginning, in all the states of birth within samsara, I have committed evil deeds. I have instigated others and found joy in their crimes. I have stolen the wealth of stupas, the Sangha community, and the Sangha of the 10 directions. I have incited others to steal, found joy in their thefts. I have committed the 5 immediate sins, have incited others to commit them, and have found joy in their downfalls. I have fully entered the path of engaging in the 10 unwholesome deeds, have incited others to enter it, and have found joy in their submission. Obscured by these karmic veils, I and all sentient beings have gone to hell, have gone to the birthplaces of animals, have gone to the world of hungry ghosts, have taken birth in savage places as barbarians, as long-lived gods, and as humans with impaired sense faculties. I have turned to corrupted views and karmic obscurations from having failed to please the Buddhas I encountered in the presence of the Buddha Bhagavans, wisdom mind, before their eyes, in their witness, before the authentic ones, the all-knowing one, the all-seeing ones. I disclose all these karmic obscurations. I declare them, I shall not hide them, and hereafter I shall sever and bind them. All Buddhas, transcendent conquerors, please heed us. I gather all the roots of virtue I have accumulated in cyclic existence through having acted generously towards another samsaric sentient being, even only offering a mouthful of food to those born in the animal realm. Together with any root of virtue from having guarded moral discipline, any root of virtue from having practiced pure conduct, any root of virtue from having brought sentient beings to full maturity, any root of virtue from having given rise to bodhicitta, the mind set on supreme awakening, and any root of virtue from unsurpassed primordial awareness accumulated in this and former lives without beginning within samsara, all these I dedicate them perfectly, supremely, most supremely, and sublimely towards unsurpassed, perfectly complete awakening, just as the previous Buddha Bhagavans perfectly perform dedication, and just as the Bhagavan Buddhas who have not yet appeared will perfectly perform dedication, and just as the present Buddha Bhagavans perfectly perform dedication, likewise shall we perform perfect dedication. We confess each and every wrongdoing and rejoice in all merit. We exhort and supplicate all Buddhas that we may attain unsurpassed, most excellent primordial wisdom. With our palms joined together, we wholeheartedly take refuge in all those with praiseworthy qualities, as infinite as a vast ocean, all the Buddhas supreme among humans who exist at present, those who have passed into nirvana, and those who have not yet appeared. And one more time, now page 50 again. Samchen tamche taba lama la gyabzu jiwo sanje la gyabzu jiwo chola gyabzu jiwo genden la gyabzu jiwo chum dende deshin sheba drajumba yanda bra zobe sanje shagya tumba la chaselo doje nimpo rabdu jumba la chaselo rinjen otro la chaselo lo wangi gyabo la chaselo pawo de la chaselo pyoge la chaselo rinjen me la chaselo rinjen dao chaselo Tongwa Tongyong la chaselo rinjen dawa la chaselo rima me pa la chaselo Paya jin la chaselo tangpa la chaselo tangpe jin la chaselo Chula la chaselo chulha la chaselo Pyazang la chaselo Zenden pa la chaselo Zichi la ye la chaselo Opya la chaselo Nyange me pe la chaselo Se me ki bu la chaselo Medo pa la chaselo Nishin she pa zampe Oze namba roba Ngompara kimpa la chaselo Nishin she pa beme Oze namba roba Ngompara kimpa la chaselo Nopya la chaselo Zembe bela jasalo, zembe shindu yonjala jasalo, wangbo togi gyao zengi gyao bola jasalo, shindu nambar nombe bela jasalo, yule shindu nambar gyao wala jasalo, nambar nombe shebe bela jasalo, kune nawa gobe bela jasalo, rinjen bema nambar nombala jasalo, deshin sheba da jomba yanda para zobe sanje rinpoche bema la rabdu supagi ri wangi gya pola jasalo. All these and all the Tathagatas, all the Arhats, however many perfectly complete Buddhas abide in all the worlds of the 10 directions, and all the Buddhas, the transcendent conquerors who prevail in this world, please heed me. In this and former lives without beginning, in all the states of birth within samsara, I have committed evil deeds. I have instigated others and found joy in their crimes. I have stolen wealth of stupas, the Sangha community, and the Sangha of the 10 directions. I have incited others to steal and found joy in their thefts. I have committed the 5 immediate sins, have incited others to commit them, and have found joy in their downfalls. I have fully entered the path of engaging in the 10 non-unwholesome deeds, have incited others to enter it, and have found joy in their submission. Obscured by all these karmic veils, I and all sentient beings have gone to hell, have gone to the birthplaces of animals, have gone to the worlds of hungry ghosts, have taken birth in savage places as barbarians, as long-lived gods, and as humans with impaired sense faculties. I have turned to corrupted views and karmic obscurations from having failed to please the Buddhas I encountered in the presence of the Buddha Bhagavan wisdom mind before their eyes and their witnesses. Before the authentic ones, the all-knowing one, the all-seeing ones, I disclose all these karmic obscurations. I declare them, I shall not hide them, and hereafter I shall sever and bind them. All Buddhas, transcendent conquerors, please heed us. We gather all the roots of virtue we have accumulated in cyclic existence through having acted generously toward another samsaric sentient being, even only offering a mouthful of food to those born in the animal realm. Together with any root of virtue from having guarded moral discipline, any root of virtue from having practiced pure conduct, any root of virtue from having brought sentient beings to full maturity, any root of virtue from having given rise to bodhicitta, the mind set on supreme awakening, and any root of virtue from unsurpassed primordial wisdom accumulated in this and former lives without beginning within samsara. All these we dedicate them perfectly, supremely, most supremely, as sublimely towards unsurpassed, perfectly complete awakening. Just as the previous Buddha Bhagavans perfectly perform dedication, and just as the Bhagavan Buddhas who have not yet appeared will perfectly perform dedication, and just as the present Buddha Bhagavans perfectly perform dedication, likewise shall I perform perfect dedication. I confess each and every wrongdoing and rejoice in all merit. And I exhort all and supplicate all Buddhas that I may attain unsurpassed, most excellent primordial wisdom. With my palms, with our palms together we wholeheartedly take refuge in all those with praiseworthy qualities, as infinite as a vast ocean. All the Buddhas supreme among humans who exist at present, those who have passed into nirvana, and those who have not yet appeared. So now in particular we think of all the people who have participated in this practice, whether joining here on Zoom or Facebook, and all the people who have participated by making offerings of lanterns, offerings of sang in Malaysia, in Nepal, and all those who will be chance upon this recording, this practice together later, thinking of all of them, dedicating merit to all of them and to all mother sentient beings. For the clearing of karmic veils, karmic obscurations, we dedicate them. We dedicate all this merit, all this virtue, all this good for the liberation of all beings from samsara, ultimately speaking, and in the short term to be liberated from all the discordant forces and conditions. So this is the 35 Buddhists, the main part of it, which is from page 50 to page 58. So now I want to begin with the jewel ornaments discussion of the 4 powers. The jewel ornament of liberation is one of the key texts composed in Tibet by Gampopa Sonam Rinchen. Gampopa himself was a monk, ordained and first trained in the Kadampa tradition of Lord Atisha, which greatly emphasizes training in the 2 bodhicittas. Of course, all lineage of Tibetan Buddhism emphasizes the training of the 2 bodhicittas. But particularly for Atisha and his disciples, his lineage, they greatly frame all practices as nothing other than the practice and the actualization of the 2 bodhicittas, relative bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. So Gampopa was firmly trained in that tradition, in the sutra practices for doing that, in the Vajrayana practices for doing that. Then later on in his life, through his auspicious karma and through lifetimes of connections to Milarepa, he was inspired to go seek out Milarepa, who then helped him to finally achieve the state of complete awakening through the practice of the 6 yogas and of Naropa and the practice of Mahamudra. And in this way, in the person of Gampopa, both the style of emphasizing the training in the 2 bodhicittas and the style of emphasizing the training in 6 yogas of Naropa and Mahamudra became kind of fused together, became combined perfectly together to give rise to what we now know as the Kagyu lineage. And one of the main texts composed by Gampopa is called the Jewel Ornament of Liberation, or the Ornament of Precious Liberation. You can also translate it that way. This text has 21 chapters. This particular discussion on the 4 powers is found in the chapter called Cultivation of Bodhicitta. Cultivation of Bodhicitta. For those of you who have the book, the translation by Khenchen Koncho Gyaltsen Rinpoche, it is starting on page 155. And here it is in the context of the extensive ceremony or ritual of giving rise to bodhicitta, taking of the bodhisattva vow. In that context, it says before you take the bodhisattva vow, you want to clean the vessel, so to say, to purify and clean out the vessel, which is us, our own minds. We want to prepare our own minds, just like, when you are growing things. When you're growing things in the field, if you take time to prepare the field carefully, removing rocks, removing things that are not helpful, weeding everything and fertilizing, the more we prepare the ground, then the more fruitful the yield of whatever we plant in that ground. And so before we plant, so to say, bodhicitta, we need to purify, we need to remove. In English, in English, the word purifying is a little tricky so that it has led to some misunderstanding, in fact. So often you'll hear things like, purify negative karma. I don't know about other languages, I don't know about Spanish, if it comes out sounding this way, to purify the negative karma. It literally is how you could translate the Tibetan, but it sometimes gives the wrong impression that you can purify negative karma. Actually, you don't purify negative karma. You remove negative karma. So you clear negative karma. You know what I'm saying? Yeah? So you purify your life of negative karma. You purify your mind of the afflictive emotions. You do not purify afflictive emotions. Afflictive emotions cannot be purified. There is no like pure, kind of like substance to negative karma and afflictive emotions. So you have to remove the negativity. So a better way, a better word, I think in English, is to cleanse. Or actually, no, to cleanse is like saying, I'm going to cleanse dirt. You don't cleanse dirt, right? You cleanse dirt from the surface of your table. Right? So when we say like, I'm going to wash this robe, right? You don't say, I'm going to wash the dirt. Let me go wash the stains. No, you're not washing the stains. You're washing the cloth so that the stains are removed. So negative karma, kleshas, afflictive emotions, all that, you remove them from this cloth. So in this context, what is the cloth? The cloth is the nature of our mind. The cloth is Buddha nature. So when we cleanse, we're not really cleansing Buddha nature, because Buddha nature, or this cloth, is primordially pure. But coexisting right now with this cloth is stains, stench. So what we remove is the stain and the stench. What we remove are negative karma, afflictive emotions, karmic obstacles. Those things we remove. We can remove them because their nature is empty. They don't belong to the cloth. They're not part of the design of the cloth. So this, I think, is important. Now, you're going to encounter, maybe you already encountered in higher teachings, so to say, quote unquote higher. Partly due to mistranslation, partly due to some poetic license, where they might say to refine the 5 poisons. To refine the 5 poisons. We have to be very careful not to think that the 5 poisons or the 5 kleshas, that we can use it in this ordinary sense. So much better for us now to understand the poisons as poisons, and therefore to be abandoned, to let go of. So here, Dampopa in this chapter, in this section, in this chapter talks about the use of the 4 powers. It's actually on page 56, starting on page 56. So he quotes from this text called Showing the 4 Dharmas Sutra. This sutra is very short. It's been translated by 84,000. So 84,000.co, this big project to translate all the Buddha's teachings from the Tibetan canon. So there, this text is translated. So Gampopa first quotes from this text. So here it says, Maitreya, when a bodhisattva mahasattva possesses the four powers, evil deeds and their accumulation will be defeated by them. What are they? They are the power of remorse, the power of antidote, the power of resolve, and the power of reliance. So remorse, antidote. Antidote, I substitute with remedy, so that I can remember easier. The 4 R's. You need the 4 R's, I always say. Remorse or regret, antidote or remedy. Remedy. Resolve, making the resolution, and reliance or refuge. Reliance or refuge. So the 4 R's. Remedy. First, the power of remorse. The full power of remorse or regret involves a feeling of great regret over the previous evil deeds and full declaration and confession in front of objects. Here, in front of objects is talking about, not like, in front of objects, you go in front of your TV or your microwave and you say, oh, I'm so sorry, I did these terrible things, This is a technical term, okay? In front of objects, it's talking about objects of refuge. In front of the 35 Buddhists, we go in front of them. Then we, with great regret, a feeling of great regret. How should one bring forth this feeling of regret? So then Gampopa says, there are 3 ways you can use, to bring about, for you to recognize the unskillful ways that we have engaged in and the mess that we have created. The mess that we have created for ourselves and the mess we have created for other people. Sometimes, even when we practice Dharma, we can become too self-absorbed. Because there's so much emphasis in Dharma on fixing yourself, working on yourself, working on yourself, working on yourself. It can easily become very self-centered. And sometimes I think, not in the context of Dharma practice, but in the modern context, so much emphasis on, oh, happiness, 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 I want to be happy, I want to be happy. We even distort the Dalai Lama's way of expressing. He says, all beings without exception want to be happy. But he doesn't stop there, and he says, and recognizing that all beings want to be happy, therefore nobody want to suffer, therefore do not create suffering for anyone. But we only hear the first part, Oh, Dalai Lama says, everybody wants to be happy. I have a right to be happy. How come I'm not happy today? Right? Then we're like, why am I not happy? But, if you go about counting how much you're not happy, you will just be more miserable. So in a way, the happiness industry, if we don't know how to relate to the happiness industry, you download the apps, you buy the meditation accessories, and I sell them, You might think, when I have all these things, I will be happy. I want to be happy, I want to be happy, I want to be happy, I want to be happy. Then we end up destroying our own happiness. So it's so important to recognize the first part. All beings want to be happy. I am a being, I want to be happy. But all beings want to be happy too. Now, think about the happiness of others. In other words, get over yourself. Our limited little suffering, nothing compared to the suffering of beings. This is not talking about turning yourself into a martyr. This is not talking about becoming doormat for others to wipe their feet. Don't do that. Protect yourself. But protect yourself and secretly really work on not being so focused on myself. Oh, I'm not happy. Oh, terrible. Oh, I didn't get a good sleep last night. You know, sometimes we didn't get a good sleep last night. Just let it go, you know, like a bleep happens, right? Sometimes we sleep well, sometimes we don't sleep well. That's it. End of it. Move on. Now you're woken up, you know? But if we are too obsessed with like, oh, I did not sleep well. Oh, maybe because it's what I ate. Or maybe because I drank this, that. And, you know, again, we get all wrapped up in me. Oh, what practice can I do? What practice can I do? Practice bodhicitta. So this regret has to also recognize the mess that I have created for others. I recognize the negative impact that I have on others. Even when I don't mean it, I can so miraculously, spontaneously create a mess for others. So that whenever or wherever I pass by, you know, somewhere in the background, somebody will say, you know, clean up on aisle 4, clean up on aisle 4. Whenever we pass through some place, some group of people, some center, some temple, some workplace, you know, somewhere in the background, they have to make an announcement, you know, clean up on aisle 4, clean up on aisle 4, because we have left a mess. So we need to recognize this mess. With a little bit sense of humor also, okay? Don't make it so heavy. Because then it becomes, you know, when you make it heavy, then it comes back to my drama again, you know. It's like my drama has to be, you know, the show of the day. My drama needing to be the show of the day and my happiness needing to be the show of the day, they are two sides of the same coin. The whole point of Dharma practice is to get over yourself. Not suppress yourself. Get over yourself. Basically, not a big deal. Happiness and suffering that I'm temporarily feeling. I'm feeling kind of meh today. Not a big deal. Just get over it. Not like get over it as in be happy, be happy. That's part of the happiness industry, the happiness cult, you know. The minute you feel a little down, you're like, oh, I'm not practicing well. I need to be happy. I need to be happy. No, sometimes it's just a terrible day. You know, that's it. Drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it. Tongsha, this practice is to expose and lay it down. Put it down. Put it down. Don't carry it around. Ajahn Chah, a very famous forest monk in Thailand, has passed away now. He uses the example, he says, you know, before you practice the Dharma, you don't even know suffering as suffering. Then because of life experience or interdependence, you begin to notice suffering. Then when you notice enough suffering, if you have the good karma, you say, I want to practice Dharma to be free from suffering. So he said, then you enter the path of Dharma. So you enter the path of Dharma because you don't want to suffer. You're tired of that suffering. You say, I'm done with that. I'm tired of that. I want to give that up. It says you have to end. That's what makes you enter the path of Dharma. But here is his very useful instruction. He says, But once you have entered the path of Dharma, you have to not fear suffering in the same way as when before you entered the door of Dharma. Before you entered the door of Dharma, your fear of suffering causes you to create more suffering. After you enter the door of Dharma, you need to relate to suffering in a way that is different from previously, meaning, he says, you have to start developing skillful way of not being afraid of suffering. And he says it is like the example of if you are carrying a stone and it is really heavy. He says sometimes it is useful not to immediately drop the stone. He says sometimes it is useful if you discover or you suddenly realize I'm carrying this heavy stone on my back. He says carry it around for a little bit longer. Now this is really what we mean by training in mindfulness. Mindful of the faults of samsara. And so, which is here in Gampopa, he says, there are 3 ways to generate this regret. The first one is investigating, understanding the meaninglessness of non-virtue. How pointless non-virtue is, and the consequences of non-virtue. How pointless it is, how meaningless it is, how stupid it is. Now, we will not know how really stupid, meaningless, pointless, ridiculous non-virtue is if we don't pay attention. So here, going back to Ajahn Chah's example, he says, when you realize that you're carrying a heavy burden, your instinct, at first might be, oh, I want to get rid of it. Now, before you enter Dharma, you try to get rid of that by actually creating more negative karma. You find yourself in a situation that you don't like, and then you find easy way out. Blaming other people or giving the stone to someone else. Here, take it. Or you try to trick others to also carry the stone so that, oh, we all have the stone now. Now I feel better. Misery loves company. Right? So those are all samsaric ways, like confused ways of trying to get rid of this stone. But here Ajahn Chah says, no, once you become aware, I'm carrying this stone, he says, carry it a little bit longer. Why? Because now when you carry it a little bit longer, you begin to develop real understanding of the meaninglessness of carrying the stupid stone around. The pointlessness, how much it exhausts you, how much it drains life out of you, how much it makes you miserable and therefore make people around you miserable until you really, he says, until you have carried this stone around for long enough, carrying it with awareness, then when you let it down, when you put it down, you will be like, wow, all this time I have been carrying this stupid stone around, and now it is so light. When we begin to do this, then we will begin to develop the right attitude, the right muscles, the mental, emotional muscles to relate to all the stupid stones that we go on picking up. Because we are going to pick up more stupid stones and walk around and wonder, why is it so hard to be alive? Yeah. And Buddhas with their eyes, they can see, because we are carrying like, the Empire State Building, equivalent of stones and walking around with it. And we say, life is so hard. Yeah. So we have to let down. So to investigate the meaninglessness of non-virtue. So Gampopa goes into details. How we create non-virtues because of friends, because of family. In order to protect friends and family, we create non-virtue. In order to destroy enemies, we create non-virtue. So then he says, look at that, In the end, who benefits? Not your friends, not your family, not your enemies, not you. Who benefits? Nobody. The meaninglessness of non-virtue. This is very good teaching. Very important point, I feel. Because often in religion, when we talk about non-virtue, it quickly turns into how you are a bad person because you have these things. Because our old baggage, right? Rules and regulations in religion is something that like mom and dad gave you for no reason. So this resentment, right? This baggage from being told. Why can't I do this? Because I said so. If our parents got impatient with like, why? So then maybe they say, well, because I said so. So then, then later when we encounter religion or spirituality and it said, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, immediately we hear our parents' voice, because I said so. So then we will rebel against it, right? So a lot of times, in the context of religion and spirituality, when we hear the do's and the don'ts, immediately we think, oh, here again, someone is trying to control me. To cramp my style, so to say, to make life boring. But here, in these teachings, Gampopa says, can you see the meaninglessness of these stones that you carry around? So that is for us to think about, to consider. And so, whenever we find ourselves, carrying this stone, if anything, some humor of like, oh, see how crazy I am carrying this around. Rather than, again, don't beat yourself up and say, oh, I'm a bad person, I carry this around, this is terrible, I'm not living up to the image of being a good Buddhist, a meditator, blah, 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 all of that. Get over yourself. Get over yourself. To be able to see with some humor the ridiculousness, the meaninglessness of non-virtue. That is the first of three considerations for this first power, the power of remorse, the power of regret. So now we are going to complete this practice with a simple dedication that we're going to do. So please go to page 63. It's page 63. I'm going to read. Somewhere in the middle of the page. By apprehending your name, by repeating and calling them, by apprehending your names, by repeating and calling them again and again, we supplicate all of you to purify, exhaust, and cleanse entirely the negativities, downfalls, and obscurations of all wandering beings. In these evil times, sentient beings' actions are degraded, impure, and unawakened. Our minds are suffused with negative emotions. Our offerings are scanty. They are marred by stains and other faults. Please forgive us all mistakes. Then page 64. The light of boundless compassion clears away the evil states and dispels demonic forces, hindrances, and hosts of wickedness. May the splendid power of the victorious ones, equal to 100,000 suns, bring forth the happiness and fortune of infinite living beings. The stream of nectar flowing from the immaculate Dharmadhatu space fully cleanses the stains of evil tendencies. May the splendid power of the holy Dharma of the cessation and path bring forth the happiness and fortune of infinite living beings. In order to eliminate the endless torment of secular existence, you have not abandoned the heavy burden of your vows and aspirations. May the splendid power of the ocean of great and noble bodhisattvas bring forth the happiness and fortune of infinite living beings. Excellent and precious bodhicitta, where it has not arisen, may it arise. Where it has arisen, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. Chanchu semcho rinpoche magye panam ke gyurche Kepa nyampa me paya gone gongdu pewar sho. Okay, if you have other things you need to do, go now, go do them. There are people and pets in your life waiting for you. But otherwise, I will stick around for a few minutes in case any questions, clarification about what you heard today, what you saw today. We'll take some time to answer some questions. But the rest of you who have other things to do, please go.
Dr. Lai?
Yes.
Regarding the part that you repeat 3 times today, when we do our own practice, we need to repeat it 3 times or?
As many as you want. That's the main practice of the 35 Buddha confession. Yeah, as many times as you want. You can do once, you can do twice, depending on your time and your ability. And you can combine that with prostrations. Yesterday somebody asked about that, and I said, record yourself saying the homage, and then for each of the homage, you do a prostration. Then, if combining all those things are complicated, and it's not easy, you have to do it step by step. If combining all of that is complicated, then at some point during the day, do 35 prostrations and just think, in the space in front of you, are 5 groups of Buddhas. Each group are 7 Buddhas. Just think like that, like there are 5 groups, 7, 7, 7. Just think like that. And if you want add some detail, each group of 5, their physical complexion, the color of their body, is the 5 primary colors of the 5 directions, which is white, blue, yellow, red, green, white, blue, yellow, red, green, white, blue, yellow, red, green. Just like that. Then just do prostrations, 35 prostrations. Then if doing straight up 35 prostrations is a little bit exhausting, then divide it to 5 times throughout the day. You divide your day to 5 periods. Each time, do 7. You have 35. Or divide your day into 7 periods. Each time, do 5. Full prostrations, half prostrations, even just putting your hand and bowing as you stand, If physically it's hard to do prostration, just that,
Okay, thank you.
And for those of you who are energetic enough, strong enough, your New Year resolution could be, to do 35 prostrations for good merit and good abs. It will, you know, tone your body a little bit, you know. And if you can do it for the benefit of beings, you know, then your friends ask you, oh, you look different. You're like, I've been doing this Buddhist practice of prostrations. Then you plant a seed, you know, in people. And oh, Buddhist practice can do this. Great merit and great abs. Strong hands, you know. Spring is coming, you know. All this long sleeve stuff is gonna disappear, you know. You got to get ready for that. Other questions? Comments?
Dr. Lai.
Yes.
Which commentary are you quoting from for the jewel ornament?
No, I'm just reading Kenshin's translation. I'm giving the commentary. Page 156 of Kenshin Rinpoche's translation of jewel ornament. Other questions, comments?
You've made a few minor edits, like in number, like I to we.
Yeah.
Or including plural. Should we just go ahead and change those in our text?
Yeah, you can do that. You know, I think it's just the English. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the Tibetan doesn't have I, we. You know, often subject in Asian languages are implied. You know, not explicitly stated. So the translators have to make some judgment call. Sometimes it's explicitly stated, but often the subject is not explicitly stated. So it's a translation issue. So yeah. So starting Monday, we will begin with the refuge, the four immeasurables, the commitment to do the 35 Buddhas. Then after that, we won't do the purification of the offerings, offering of the seeds, welcoming the Buddhas, all of that. Yeah, we've done this for 3 days. Then mostly we will do the page 50 to 58. And I will continue to teach from jewel ornament, the 4 powers. I think this is really important. Then after that, we will go into the practice itself, 50 to 58, the section where after the homage to all the Buddhas. The second section and the third section. Second section is revealing or exposing our negative ways of behaving, and then letting them go. Then the third section is rejoicing in the good that we have done, that others have done, and dedicating the merit. So I believe these are the 3 heaps. Sometimes this is the title of this text. It's called the Sutra that consists of 3 elements or 3 heaps. So the first heap is to pay homage and to remember the 35 Buddhas and to pay homage to them. That's the first heap. The second element is to expose our unskillful actions and put them down, let them go. Third is to recognize the good that we have done that others have done. And together, all this good, all this merit, all this virtue, we dedicate to the awakening, to the Buddhahood of all beings. So these are the 3 heaps. You all have a nice Sunday, whatever is left of Sunday in Asia. Of course, in the world is also celebrating Valentine's Day. So love skillfully. Otherwise, it becomes entanglements. Get all tied up, you know. So have a good day. Have a good evening. Ta-ta. Hasta mañana.
Hasta mañana. Gracias. Thank you.
Hasta mañana.
Gracias. Hasta mañana.
Mañana.
Mañana, gracias.
Gracias.
Bye.
Adiós. Bye.
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Good